Welcome back, everyone. We're still here at IMSTA Atlanta 2020. I'm Derek Olds once again, and we're going to continue diving in with Melodyne 5. We spent the first session just talking about some of the latest updates, things that are new in Melodyne 5. Again, it has definitely changed the workflow somewhat, and we're going to try and piece out just a good order of operations, kind of the way that I and a lot of the people that I work with like to tune vocals specifically here. So we're going to dive in. We're going to use a lot of the tools to, first of all, clean things up and then time things up. Maybe use lead vocal or a background vocal as a reference as we do that. Then we're going to tune it, try and make it sound more natural, and then we'll kind of go a little further and try and show you some of the tricks that are going to speed you up and just set you apart. So here we go. Again, this song is My Only, and I hope you enjoy. Okay, so first thing, let me just quickly track some vocals. Again, here's the song that we're going to basically retrack the lead, but I'm going to leave all the other stems in there. Song called My Only. Let's hear just really quick a little bit of it here. So that's the verse. We're gonna also do the pre-chorus, and then the hook. Cool. All right, let's see what we get out of this guy. So I'm just gonna use Logic for this take. Get a little. Okay, so we're record enabled and ready to go. Here we go. Put a little pop guard, do this like the pros. Alrighty. Shall we? Here we go. From the first breath that we shared, it wasn't air, it wasn't air. And I feel frightened and often a little scared that I won't be there when you need me, baby. So if you wanna come home, if you wanna come, we've got time now before the sun takes you away again. Will you be my only? Will you be my only? Yeah. Will you be my only? Will you be my only? Be my only one. I think that will do the trick. All right, let's see what we got. Cool. If I missed anything or sounded bad at any point, it's just so I can show you, how to tune it. It was on purpose. It's a good excuse. It's a great excuse. All right, so let's hear what we got. From the first breath that we shared, it wasn't air, it wasn't air. And I feel frightened and often a little scared. Cool. All right, so we're gonna go to Logic. Just heads up, I'm using the Slate Digital virtual mic, and that's actually going into my UAD. I have a zero latency input, as you can see. And then when I'm tracking, I'm just turning that down and going into the Logic and referencing and monitoring through Logic. I'm running it through the Neve preamp, and which I love. I actually sold most of my gear since I've gotten this stuff, so it's pretty cool. And then I'm running it through a nice little LA2A. All right, and then that's going in. Eventually, let's see which mic. I actually forgot which mic I chose for this. We went with the 67, I believe, the U67. Perfect. Can't go wrong with that, obviously. Okay, so I'm going to put Melodyne on the first track here. All right. Here it is. And you see, if I push play, because of the new ARA technology that's incorporated, basically allowing Melodyne and the DAW to have a full conversation with all the data at once. That's pretty cool. I'll go ahead and put it on the other track just for the fun of it. And let's also throw it on maybe a few of these. Maybe let's see a lead here from before. Maybe we can use that for reference to line things up. And maybe one of these guys on that. That's the hook. Perfect. That's enough for now. All right. So you'll see that if I go to any instance of it, push play once, just push play once, and all three of them show up. Pretty cool. Then again, if I select it in orange, then I can see it, hear it, and move it around and manipulate it. If it's in gray, I can see it and hear it, but I can't touch it. So it's good to kind of have it for reference, and I'll show you that in a second. So first thing I notice off top is that it looks like it might have gone with a different algorithm than a vocal. Sometimes you have to help it choose the right algorithm. So in this case, it's going to be melodic. I'm singing a monophonic melody. It's one note at a time. There are singers out there like monks and some other really talented singers that can sing multiple notes at a time. But for our purposes and me, one note at a time. So melodic would be the choice. And let me just rename these a little bit here. It's going to be easier for us to tell. So we'll call that lead for harmony. Let's just call the whole thing. So if I push play one more time, you'll see now I can really tell which one is which. Let's see how we're doing on these guys. All right, so that's melodic, and let's go to the background. Cool. Looks like we have the right algorithms now. So here we go. All right, so I'm going to bring this over to the screen. You guys might want to take a screenshot of this. This is kind of the order since Melodyne 5 came out. I've had to kind of change this a little bit. These are the 10 steps that I do. Some of them are combined, like you can literally do 1 through 4 all together in one pass, and then maybe do a timing pass, and then tune the vocal. Then start really detailing on the slopes between the notes and messing with vibrato, modulation, pitch drift, things like that. So we're going to fly through this and go through each section here. So, all right, first thing, cut the fat. That just means that, go into Melodyne. And if you just see some extra notes hanging out, in this case, the plugin version does a pretty good job, but maybe this stuff up here, don't really need it. Let's hear how this first one is. All right. So I can just tap in the side.
From the first.
So I do want that.
From the first.
Maybe I don't need it. Let's see.
From the first. From the first.
Yeah, we'll leave it out for now. So by cutting the fat, we just mean kind of like if there's things that you just don't need in there. Let's see about this. All these breaths. In the past, we would have had to cut them out and really pay more attention. But as I talked about in the first segment, it's a lot easier to kind of ignore those until you need to mess with them. So, okay. So let's say we've cut the fat here. Let's see if there's anywhere else. Maybe in this area, but we'll leave it for now. Let it be all natural. All right, so after that, let's talk about number 2, note assignment mode tweaks. So basically, every once in a while, Melodyne will be tracking your melody, and it'll something will happen with overtones and saturation and all these things, and it'll get confused and think it's an octave below or maybe an octave above. It'll choose the right note. That's what it's amazing at, but sometimes you have to help it with the octaves. I don't see any in this case, but let me mimic one. So note assignment mode is pretty important up here. If you go click on note assignment mode, this lets you do a few, kind of affect the back end without affecting the sound, so everything looks right. It's gonna tickle your engine eye instead of your engineer mode. But sometimes, let's say it's like this, where you look in Melodyne and you listen
when you need me,
and you're like, that's not that much further down, that much more flat. So it's just an octave wrong. So you would just go to note assignment and then move it and drop it somewhere around where you think it should be. Boom. And then it's going to re-average and recalculate and just visually be right. So that's what number 2 is all about. It's pretty simple. It's just about, making it so the notes represent visually what you're hearing. And then note separation tweaks. That's things like, let's see if we find some. If there's maybe something where you want it's a scoop, but maybe it really is 2 notes this here.
From the first.
It'd be kind of nice to be able to treat those separately. Melodyne said, we're going to see that as you're just scooping up. And again, it's going to calculate the new average with a new algorithm that's so amazing. But in this case, maybe I'll help it out. So let's just go through visually. I'm just going to kind of cut where I think maybe I'd like to have a separate blob to manipulate.
Breath that we share.
So this definitely should be up there.
It wasn't air.
Nice.
It wasn't air.
Okay, cool.
And I feel frightened and often a little.
So like here, often a little. So.
And often a little.
Dun, 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 dun. So cool. I could cut this and get those notes out so I can manipulate those later. Anything else?
That I won't be there.
Oh, no, that I can make that work.
You need.
And even though this is the same pitch, same note, A flat, that's really 2 words though.
When you need me.
Oh no, actually, it's just the way I was vibratoing there. Let's hear it.
When you need.
Oh yeah, when you need. So need starts. So let's go ahead and give that 2 blobs so we can see those as 2 separate words. Let's see.
You wanna.
So here, maybe that's a different note, even though it's the same pitch. And
now, before the sun. Before the sun. Before the sun.
This is supposed to be 2 notes. See what we can do with that. Kind of missed that one. All right, that's close enough. So that would be going in and just using the note separation tool to really cut out anything that, it just needs to be seen as separate blobs. Notice, though, we are not going in and cutting out all the S's and T's. You can see where they are. Again, they're going to have the vertical lines there.
Now, before the sun.
Cool. So it even saw the sun. I got that. That's super cool. So I can move this if I wanted to move it up.
Well, the sun.
A little too far there, but you can see it's the S didn't get affected. Pretty awesome. All right. Next thing is, speaking of S's, the next thing that I do, this is my list. I've seen a lot of people kind of doing it in the same order, though. The next thing is going to be tone versus sibilance detection. So this is something I added into my process because of the new tools in Melodyne. So again, you see all the S's are, basically you can move things around and they won't be touched. But you don't have to cut them out. They can still be part of the word, part of the phrase. So now I do see very much that sometimes I just kill the S's. Sam, I'm S'ing like crazy, slithering. So I would just take a pass with this new tool, the Sibilance balance tool. If I pull down, it's going to just pull the non-tonal stuff down in volume, but it's not touching the tonal stuff at all. if I go back to the center line and start pulling up, then it's going to leave the S exactly the volume it is, but it's going to turn down the tone. So you can really adjust left, easily that way.
First breath that we shared.
So that one definitely.
We shared.
It's so easy now, though. I don't have to worry about messing with the actual note.
That we shared.
It's better. Basically, where I like to put S's when I'm melodining is a little bit lower than I want it to be in the mix, because I'm working on the raw vocal. So of course, once we go into the mix and we compress and do all the bells and whistles that we do to vocals in 2020, the S's are going to have a little more energy compared to stuff, because high end kind of comes out a little more when you do that stuff. So if you try and in Melodyne get S's a little bit lower than you think they might need to be, then you'll find they just kind of bump up when you do the mix, and then you throw a de-esser on there just to shave off the top, and you're good to go. So let's take a pass here.
It wasn't air.
It's fine to me.
It wasn't air.
A little bit.
And I feel frightened and often a little scared that I won't be there when you need me, baby. So if you wanna come home, if you wanna...
Okay, cool. So I'm just gonna eye the rest a little bit here. See, I mean, you can see the height of the blob or the S is the energy, not just volume. You can see it more as the bulk of it, the energy. So you get good at kind of reading how loud something is based on how much energy it's giving you. So there's not really S's in the hook. Okay, cool. So we've gone through. If you run into an issue, just a heads up. The latest couple updates have really fixed a lot of these problems. But let's say that this S is starting too early or something, and there's actually, it got it wrong. You can always, again, go to note assignment mode, and then click and hold here, and you'll find the new Sibilance range tool. That allows you to just move back and forth the edge of where that sibilance is actually being calculated as not tonal, but just sibilance information. So that's another part of it. That's part of what we're talking about here, just going in and fixing, sibilance detection tweaks in whatever shape or form. All right, so let's keep it going. So now, to me, one of the most difficult things in all of making music is timing vocals. It's very subjective. You can't just quantize vocals. There's all kinds of things that you want to do, and it's very subjective what the right answer is. So let's do a little bit of it. This is easily one of the most important parts of really taking a vocal that could sound amateur, and if you put it in time, suddenly it just feels so much better. It's like finding the pocket, when you're in a group. So let's kind of go through a little bit and just kind of hear and see if maybe I'm rushing at times or whatever. If I am, again, now that we have one blob per note, it's just so easy to go timing. What you do is you hold down, you just take the normal main tool, and you hold down Option at the edge of a blob, and you can stretch and compress and retime. Now, check this out, though. Let me see. So let me go ahead and pull this guy back out. All right. So, and let me cut her. Okay, cool. So we're back. All right. So timing wise, you can just hold down Option. Now you'll see what's really cool is
on the first.
If I move this over a little bit, it's not shortening that S. First of all, that might sound weird.
The first.
Because if I say, sweet or sweet, the S is about the same distance, the same length. And that's how humans talk. We usually have about the same distance S's. So you can definitely stretch things around without it stretching the S's and the T's, but it does it intelligently. It tries to, predict, what the best outcome is going to be. So let's go around in time a little bit here. Let's see.
From the first breath that we shared.
Okay, shared, let's maybe get these guys, nudge it over a little.
Breath that we shared. It wasn't air.
Let's hear the music.
It wasn't air.
Okay, cool. That whole line could be over a little bit. So let's see. Maybe I'm just gonna cut this maybe right here just so I can see these as one entity, and then drag these guys over and maybe even just compress that way. Or I could take it in the middle. Let me undo that and do the better way. I could take it, grab it in the middle with Option, and take this whole thing and move it over like that. Cool. So it's basically what you have selected is going to let you massage it, and like putty, you can just kind of massage it around until it feels good. There's a lot of listening back and forth that's needed. So let's see.
It wasn't air.
Okay.
It wasn't air. It wasn't air.
It wasn't there.
It wasn't air.
Cool. So I'm going to make this one go down a little quicker.
It wasn't air.
That'll be better.
And I feel frightened and often a little scared that I won't be there.
There. Let's move this guy over a little bit.
I won't be there.
Cool. And then I already know that's flat, but we'll fix it later. Okay, cool. So that's enough.
When you need me,
and let's just go to the hook and see if that
takes you away.
All right.
Will you be my only?
Okay, cool. So we'll do a different way there. What's cool is if I have another vocal here, it's one of the awesome things about the new ARA. If I have, like, let's say, for instance, this lead. So we're going to call that just chorus. All right, so this guy, I can put this guy in orange. Cool. Let's get this guy back here. Okay. So what's cool is I can now have both of these, one in orange and one in gray, and I can see the lead. Let's say this is the lead vocal that I've done. I can visually now literally line this guy up so easily visually because I can see in gray. I can also command click and see multiple and actually multi-track edit now. So if you didn't know about that, you know, if you're a guitar player, you can multi mic and amp now and tune your leads, or you know, multi mic a singer and still tune it without things getting all crazy and out of phase. So that's super cool. So in this case, we could continue timing, you know, using references of the leads and things like that as we go. It's pretty cool. All right, so once the timing's done, then the next step that I like to do is going to be the actual tuning. It's time to tune. The hard part's done, actually. The tuning, especially these days, is way easier in my opinion. Now, I'm just going to go to this lead. And because I've basically said, okay, every one of these notes, let's see this.
Will you be?
I'm going to go ahead and make that 2 notes because I want that scoop to be pretty specific on that one. Cool. But anyways, let's just select all here. It guessed the correct key. Melodyne, it's, you know, if you hit these guys over here, you can see the keys. And then if you have chords, you can be, you know, it'll detect the chords. But it got the right key. I can have this thing very easily. If I just control click over here, I can say chord snap and then snap the key. I'm going to just snap to the key here. So I'm going to select all. And unlike in the past where I would never do what I'm about to do, I'm actually going to take this to 100. But remember, Melodyne's now looking for the important information and finding the average and putting that in the center. So you can do that. And since it's, you know, this is kind of a pop song, I'm going to go ahead and take care of some of the pitch drift, which is just like kind of when you're like, and you flatten out at the end or come into the beginning a little, you know, and it takes the whole seesaw and just kind of levels it out. So I'll probably do that a little bit anyway. So I'm just going to go ahead and maybe go halfway in general. That's how I like to roll. I could also go ahead and say snap to the chord. You can see snap to the chord, and maybe I would want to do that. Let's do that. See what happens. All right, so we went from, let's just see how maybe just one of these acapella sounds.
From the first breath that we shared.
Sounds a lot better than
from the first breath that we shared.
But you hear how natural this sounds, but it's like Fully tuned.
From the first breath that we shared.
I don't mean fully tuned, I mean fully centered, where I haven't messed with the vibrato, I haven't changed the head, any of that stuff, but the centers of every note are now on average. Then I can go in, so let's hear a little more.
It wasn't air. It wasn't air.
Cool, so this one we'd have to maybe make it go a little faster, and then we can cut up. Sometimes you might need to say, okay, this is bad enough, I need to split this into two and treat these totally different. So that's maybe what I would do here, and then maybe go to the pitch tool, double click, put them in the center. Let's see how that.
It wasn't air.
Okay, cool, getting better. I don't like this little area, so watch this. If you've got two notes next to each other, you can always go to the pitch tool, and you know these yellow or orange lines are really cool. They're the slopes, but you can just fix that little slope there. So boom,
Wasn't air.
it's getting better, and we could keep massaging that. After that, so we're gonna go in. Let's say we tune. We can go in and say, oh, it missed this note, it missed that note, and really tweak that up. But you know that's a good starting point. Then, like we were doing, we do modulation, drift. That's these two. It's really important. Modulation, I don't touch much. That's when you get rid of vibrato. It's where a lot of the emotion is for me in a vocal. So I like to use pitch drift more, where I'm just kind of massaging things to make them, on average, kind of like, you know, each, like you can see on this one, before and after, it just kind of makes the whole thing kind of get back on tune.
If you wanna come.
Nice, nice. Okay, cool. So we mess with that stuff. So pitch and then slopes between notes. This is pretty cool. This is how, like, if you go to the pitch tool, the normal pitch tool, you get these orange lines that I was just showing you. It's basically just how quick you go from one note to the next. If you go too quick,
When you need.
you'll start to sound kind of like auto-tuning. And that can be cool though. You can make those slopes super quick or super smooth. After that, we're gonna go into more of the tricks like formanting, the E where you can go in and, you know, let's just mess around. Let's make me sound like a chipmunk.
When you need me.
Or I can make me go Skrillex.
When you need.
Super cool. So if you did have to take something way up, you might have to take the formant down a little to compensate with some of that timbre change. And last but not least, we just go in and maybe use the amplitude tool to change some of the volumes. I'm sorry, this guy right here, to go and say where maybe there's some super loud notes, you can change the volumes. Maybe take a few of those S's and mess with them a little bit more. Just try and get your, you know, if you see something that's like obviously way louder than everything else, go ahead and fix that in Melodyne so your compressors in Pro Tools or Logic or Ableton or Window, wherever you're mixing, your compressors don't have to work so hard. They can just be used to compress, put it in a box, make it sound great, because you've gotten rid of a lot of the nitpicky problems. Then we can put that in gray, go and start tuning our backgrounds. Again, I'm Derek Olds. I want to thank everyone so much for hanging out with me for an hour geeking out. IMSTA 2020 Atlanta. I've definitely enjoyed this a whole lot. Anytime I get to talk about something I'm passionate about, which is music, and then all the tools that we use to make music better. And Melodyne is definitely one of my main weapons. I always say if I was in the Wild West, I would have Melodyne on one hip and maybe Isotope RX on the other hip, something like that. Again, some of the newest things that have just really blown my mind are the fact that they're separating out tonal versus sibilance. That was the one thing we were like, can we please stop cutting out S's and T's and breaths and cutting and cutting? And now we can see each blob that represents one word or one entity. So you have your S's and your breaths and your tonal stuff all in one. So you can really treat it, simplify it, and look at things, more musically. So I really like that. And then also the fact that they changed the algorithm to where it's really intelligently finding that average peak, so you can really, trust the machine a lot more to do some of the work for you. So again, I'm Derek Olds. I'm excited to, just see what they come up with next, and I'll be right here with you. Thanks a lot, and enjoy the rest of the conference. Peace.